Hello everyone, Jeremy here, and today I wanted to share with you a trip I recently took with my family to two locations. The first one being my hometown of Gary, Indiana, and the second being Jackson, Tennessee. We got on the road around 10 o'clock in the morning and we drove about 10 and a half hours all the way to Northwest Indiana to get to Gary, passing so many nice scenery things along the way. We've passed mountains, we've passed little lakes, we passed up a lot of places, and we really wanted to make fantastic time. We really wanted to make good time. So we stopped for absolutely nothing. Except to use the bathroom, of course, because you kind of have to do that driving 10 hours. But we traveled through a few different states. After coming from Georgia, we entered some parts of Tennessee. We've entered Kentucky, which you can see here. And I kind of like driving through Kentucky, seeing the downtown area, seeing all the really tall hospitals and buildings. And then the most wonderful attraction, this bridge here. This is a bridge that apparently freaks out some members of my family, not the ones that's traveling with me, but it's just the fact that it's surrounded by all this water and you see all these bridges and it's like, oh my god, what's going to happen if we fall off? Of course, you never fall off. From there we passed through Indiana, state that I have not been to for a long time, and that's when the weather started to get a little rough. Started off fine, but then it got a little worse. Fortunately, it was just a downpour of showers, no lightning or thunder or tornadoes. And if you travel down I-65 north, you'll know that you're starting to get close to the very edge when you start to come across those wonderful, wonderful windmills. From there, it only took about an hour or two in order to get to Gary, Indiana, which you are now seeing here. So let's take a look at some of the things that I experienced while in Gary. Not having been here for a couple of years, things have changed, not necessarily for the better, but let's take a look at all that stuff right now. When I was younger, I remember when my dad put up this basketball hoop here and also laid down this concrete, and all of the kids in the neighborhood, they would all come over and we would play basketball right here. So because this is extremely small, the way that it worked was the 3-point line was all the way back there towards the end of the concrete. That was the 3-point line, and then the 2-point line was kind of like right there in the middle. Well, that was the free throw line rather, and then of course everything else is whatever. Of course, it looked a whole lot better, back then, years ago. Oh my God, how long ago? Like 20 years ago, maybe. And check it out, there's a cat. Hey, kitty. She's just looking at me. I used to have a dog, and this is where he stayed a lot. Of course, it didn't look this bad, at the time. This used to be a fenced-in structure. All this grass was gone, and he had a dog house, and I was like right over there. He died when I was in college, maybe like the first year. So he's not here anymore, but that's where he used to live. Well, that's where he used to stay. He used to play in the backyard too. And over here, I remember when all this was cleared, there was nothing over here but, just grass. So when we would play basketball and the ball would fall and go over this fence, we would have to hop it to get to it. But over the years, from all of these trees The limbs have fallen, and people have just thrown gigantic tree branches and stems and stuff just back here. So, man, this is pretty much inaccessible by people unless you want to get hurt. My goodness, you never believe what I have found. This is crazy. You ready to see what I found? Alright, check it out. We're going to go back here towards these mini garbage cans. And we're going to peek inside. Look. 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 They're kittens. They're kittens in the garbage can. Oh, they're moving. I don't think anyone threw them in here, but oh, but this is just where they are. This just be where their mom put them, keep them warm. I count maybe 4. That one just yawned. I think I might be bothering them, but yeah, garbage can kittens. Now I'm going to take a little ride to the elementary school that I went to for kindergarten. It's right up the street and it's no longer in service. So let's go see what it looks like. There it is. Etna School. I went here for kindergarten. And as you can see, it certainly had better days. It certainly, it's looked better. Jeez, it was just overtaken by vegetation. Yep, it's gone. It's gone. Another place we visited while in Gary was my grandparents' old house, which they don't live in anymore since they moved south many years ago. And their house was one that my brother and I spent a lot of time at when we were younger. My parents were at work. There's a lot of good memories about this street and about this house in general. We used to play baseball in the street with other kids, ride bikes, buy candy out of people's houses because people weren't as crazy back then. And when I pulled up to the house and looked at it in the condition that it's in now, it was a pretty sad moment for me. When it was time to get away from the city and have a little fun, the destination spot to be was on the east side, where you got to hang out at the beach. I'm here at the beach. And in Gary, I'm going to take some photos. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be here right now. I don't know if there's any rules on being at the beach when there's no one around. And there was like a booth where you were supposed to pay, but there's no one there. So, I don't know. Let's take a look. I was just about to leave when I came across a really nice, potentially nice photo opportunity. So I decided to go for it. So far since I've been here, I've been to the beach, I've been to my grandmother's old house, I've been to, just around, and things aren't looking, well, of course they're not looking good, like at all. But hey, what can I say? It's hard to keep a place, a city thriving when you really don't have a lot of support. Businesses, lack of businesses, education system is just... So the rest of it just kind of dwindles. So this is my last day here. Tomorrow I'm going to be going to Tennessee. So there we'll be able to see some farmland, horses, and pretty much no data coverage from T-Mobile. That's where I'm going next, and see you from the road. I slept most of the way to Tennessee because I didn't sleep well at all while in Gary. But the reason why we were going to Tennessee is to visit my grandparents, the same grandparents whose house you saw in Gary a little while ago. And they live down in the south where the data coverage is not that great. But there's plenty of land and it is quite peaceful there for them. And we spent a couple of days with them. Now, because I'm not too sure about how well they felt about being on camera and having their faces plastered all over the YouTubes, I decided not to include any footage of them into this video, even though I do have some. But in lieu of that, we can just kind of take a look at around the property of which they live, which is totally country. Tractors, pickup trucks, and unfortunately, the horses were not there. Shame. But hey, maybe next time, right? Outside of catching up with family, we didn't do any sightseeing or anything like that, so after a couple of days, we got back on the road and headed back to Georgia, which of course I became absolutely fascinated by the wonderful scenery as we went down long, steep roads with trucks nearly blowing out their tires, passing the mountains that look like clouds are being born from them. And I gotta tell you, if you're gonna travel from Tennessee to Georgia, keep your eyes open when it's not raining and take a look at some of this fantastic scenery. And we made it back safely, and I really enjoyed myself on that trip, and I hope to do it again soon. Thank you so much for taking the time to look at my video diary of my recent trip. I really appreciate it. So until next time, I'm Jeremy, and I'll see you later.